Hello, my name is Mima Merrow, and this is the Good Stuff In Between podcast.
If I could only read your mind with superhuman power, life would be a breeze sometimes. The good stuff's in between the lines, my thoughts and my feelings still tell 1,000 lies. But now you're taking away my sorrow, you're taking away my fear. We're not promised tomorrow, so let me hold you close, my dear. Nothing's gonna bring me down, no thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down.
Hello there and welcome back to the Good Stuff In Between podcast with me, Shaun Milne. In this series we're going behind the scenes of the music industry. We're seeking out the stories and asking advice from those at the very heart of making it happen. In episode 3 I was very lucky to get to chat with Mima Merrow, an Irish singer-songwriter originally from Belfast but who moved to Glasgow when she was 18 and has been making her own brilliant brand of alternative folk music ever since. She shares the story of starting from the ground up, having the courage to make that first leap, culminating eventually in the breakthrough single Freckles, her debut EP Good Grief in 2020, which propelled her onto BBC airwaves, followed by her first album, Almost Home. She's funny, she's talented, she's revealing, and she explains how she found not only her feet in music, but her freedom too. Enjoy.
So let me hold you close, my dear. Nothing's gonna bring me down, no thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down.
We are at Belladrum Festival.
Yes,
You played yesterday.
I did.
This morning you've just done Net Sounds.
Yes.
How does it feel?
It feels incredible. This has been a long-held dream of mine to play in festivals, so to be here finally is just a dream come true.
Is this your first festival?
It's not my first festival, but it's my first, I suppose, bigger one, where I got to be on a proper stage and things like that with my solo project. So it's been really great to come here with my own work.
For people who maybe aren't as familiar with your own work as others, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did it all begin? Where are you at now?
Yeah, so I spent a long time writing songs and not telling anyone about them. And then finally when lockdown came around, I decided to finally release my own music and not just sort of play in other people's bands. So I released my very first single, Freckles, in 2020. And then from then I've just released an EP and my debut album last year in September.
And how did that go down?
It went really well, yeah. It's been met with such support and positivity and love, really, which has been so great as someone who was so nervous to finally share their songs with the world. Yeah, a really good time.
The idea behind this podcast is in part to learn everybody's stories, but also to figure out how things are done for those who are on their own journey. You're further ahead than others, perhaps not as advanced as some of the big stars we've seen so far. What would you say is the main motivation for you and the main challenges you've had to overcome?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the main motivation for me was just this thing that in my gut that I had to do it. I can't quite explain it. I just can't not write and I can't not create. And then the motivation for actually then sharing it with people, I think, was actually to be here, like these exact opportunities to just be with people and build up community and share art with different people and just have that network of people around you doing similar stuff and having fun and having a laugh. So my songs are quite serious and quite sad a lot of the time, so I think another motivation is to kind of just get it out, like package up the chaos or the things I don't quite understand about myself or the world in a way, and then it's so nice to share it and get feedback from audiences and listeners about what it means to them and what it's could be about something completely different for them. So I've absolutely loved that.
Do you remember when you first started songwriting?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've really come to realise that like I've done it since I was a kid, but I would just sort of like narrate my life. But I thought I was just being silly, but I'd be like, I'm doing the dishes, and then, you know, and just doing silly little songs to myself. But at the time I thought it was just playing. And then I took songwriting seriously maybe quite late in life. I suppose like 21, 22 was when I started putting pen to paper and just trying to actually write a song that I like.
And was that you, or was that encouragement from like friends or other people?
No, I really do think it was me. I think I was I was also extremely lucky to be like, once I came to Glasgow. So I'm from Belfast originally, and when I came to Glasgow, I didn't really know a lot of people in the music scene doing music, and then when I started meeting people doing it, that was my huge inspiration of like, oh, if they're doing it, like maybe I could just do it too. You know, I'm finding that just like watching pals on stage with their bands and having the best time, and just like, you know, yeah, and I was just stood there being so proud of them, but also like a little bit like, no, but I want that too. So eventually I went after it. It just took me a minute.
So you said you're quite slow in sharing your music,
Yeah.
letting people know what was there. Was there a particular moment you thought, I'm just going to do this? And if so, how did you do it? Who did you ask? What did you do?
Yeah, I was very, very lucky. During lockdown, I joined a songwriting club. It was called Sunday Songwriters, and each week we got given 2 challenges, and then on the Sunday you just recorded your tune, and then we all shared it. And I think the amount of positive feedback I got in that environment, and the amount of help and suggestions, but it wasn't really critical. It was really just friends coming together to like keep each other going in their creative journeys. That was a huge push for me to believe that I actually could do it. And then from there, every single part of the process has been like, I'm learning a thing. So for the first single was like, I'm gonna learn how to email the radios. I don't know how to do that. Or I'm gonna learn how to produce this song. I'm gonna record it myself, and I'm gonna give myself the challenge of like, it has to have 5 instruments in it, and then I'll learn how to speak to a mix engineer, and I'll learn how to. So that was how I gave myself permission and not be paralyzed by the fear of it all. Because I think if you do look at it as a whole, it seems completely impossible and exhausting and really big. But because I took it as no, you're learning how to do this, it took a lot of the pressure off myself.
How does somebody go about recording, you know,
Yeah.
an EP, let alone just a single?
Yeah, so I got myself, because I do community work, so I had a little bit of experience of recording and producing other people, but I started really simple. I got an interface, and I got a DAW. I used Logic, and I plugged it in, and a cheap mic and a keyboard, and I just started there, and then building up the sounds and giving myself permission to play. Like, I think for ages the reason I didn't start doing it was because like I didn't know how to do it. But you're not going to know how to do it till you do it. And I used to hate it when people said that, actually, because I was like, that's not helpful. But yeah, giving myself permission to just go onto the DAW and try out a sound and press a thing and see if it works and see if I like it, and then slowly build from there.
And has that in part influenced your style of music?
Yeah.
It's not just vocals, it's about sounds,
Yeah.
it's about nature, it's about sea. It's quite experimental, I think, is how you described it.
Yeah, I think when you're starting to think about things like production, I think you need to follow the things that you like and care about. I think that's what stopped me in the past as well. I would look around and be like, well, I can't sing like this person, and I can't play keys like that person, and I can't produce like that, and I would never be able to write that. But like, then I stopped trying to do that, and I just started literally playing like a kid with Lego. My favorite podcaster is called Blind Boy, and he talks about that a lot. Like, it's like kids don't criticize when they're playing. And I think that has influenced the sound, because I did have a really good time going and recording a river and then plugging it into the DAW, then doing silly stuff with it and seeing what happened. And yeah, so it felt experimental to me at the time, even though it's quite, in a lot of ways, quite sparse, gentle music, some of it. So.
And what about the album? Was that a similar process, or did that involve other people?
It was mostly myself. I kind of made it all in my flat. And then I was extremely lucky to get a bit of support so that I could work with Inga Thompson, who's an amazing, amazing folk person, producer, singer-songwriter, just amazing woman. And she really took me to that next level of like, how do we make this project like a cohesive piece of work versus just a bunch of songs on an EP. And I would be like, I really want to make this sound happen. Like, I really wanted to use glitches and stuff, and I didn't know how to do it. And she's like, I know how to make glitches. And so she helped me make certain sounds in it. And then I asked a few people I know to record the instruments, like there's drums and bass and stuff on there. So they did that for me. But I took it all together, and I then lined it all up and got it to a place where I was pretty happy, like a posh demo. And then we went up to Watercolour Studios to record the vocals, because it is centered around the vocal. That was the bit I was most keen on getting right. And then Gary over at Belladrum Studios mixed it. So I think that's another thing I've learned through Inga really taught me during making the album process, was like you don't need to learn it all at once. You can get help. Like, don't feel like if you're calling yourself a producer, you don't need to also be amazing at mixing just yet and all that stuff. So that really helped out.
And how did you get it out there? Was it like word of mouth? Did you go crazy in social media? Did somebody help give you a leg up?
I got some mentoring from someone who knows a bit about PR, and she kind of taught me how to write an EPK and like how to email radio stations. And I'd done it. Freckles had done really well before, which I was very lucky about, my first single. So I had a few connections from that time that they played my other songs as well, and like the Roddy Hart show and places like that. And then I just up at 6 a.m. every morning for months on end, emailing people and asking them to listen to it, write about it, support me, and do what I could to get it out there. So like, it definitely didn't, like, it wasn't like a massive blow up thing, but I'm really proud of where it's got me compared to where I was before. Like, so because I'm fully independent, so I'm just the album was that. I'm going to learn how to do that side of it, how to make connections within in press and blogs, and how to run a marketing campaign for it. So I did silly little social media things to try to raise a bit of hype about it, I suppose.
Is there anything, knowing now what you do, you would have done differently or you would have done as well?
That's a really good question. I think for the most part, I'm pretty pleased. I think when I very first started out, I wasn't good at being able to present myself quickly to people. So that's something I learned how to do quicker. Like meeting you today or coming here, like I wouldn't have pushed myself forward to talk to people. So I would have done that a bit differently and had a bit more confidence in what I'm doing. But I don't know if you can really do that differently until you've gone through it, you know.
I guess it's part of that process that you've gone through though. Firstly, being prepared to reveal this talent that you have, the sharing your songs, then putting yourself out there. There must be something quite inherent in that kind of character who has your thoughts, the creativity that you just want to get out there.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have done it if it hadn't been for lockdown?
Gosh, I don't know. And I think I would have eventually, but I think definitely lockdown gave me a real kick up the bum for a lot of reasons, and a lot of things changed for me. It was like kind of like what are you doing with your life? Yeah, I think I would have, but maybe not as quickly. And honestly, I think it was lockdown and joining that songwriting group was really the two key things that gave me that final, this is possible for you feeling. Like it's not, I think the music world can seem really like magic or not penetrable when you're on the outside of it, and it looks like everyone knows what they're doing and for everyone's friends and they don't like all that stuff, but actually that was just a little community that came up around me to be like, no, you actually can, and we'll listen to it and we'll support you and we'll tell people about it. And so that word of mouth, I think, is actually really, really important.
And how about playing live? How do you go about that?
That was another big massive learning curve. Is like, how do you do gigs? Like, how do you get to play a thing? So I put a few on myself for a while, and then I started approaching different, I suppose, like promoters and that. But that's been really interesting because I wrote all of these songs with very little to no feedback. And a lot of people, when they write songs, they like gig them a little bit and they see what audience reactions are, and then they would maybe decide what to put on the record or not. And I had to completely just do that without anyone having heard them live. But it's been really good for me because I'm quite an indecisive person. So it really taught me to trust my own taste and trust my own what I think's good, which actually really is the most important thing, that you're proud of it. For any piece of art, if you have to be proud of it first, and then if other people like it, that's an added bonus, but that can't be why you're doing it. You have to do it for yourself.
The Belladrum, of course, is huge. You know, I've been wandering about this place for a couple of days, still discovering new places, new music, new people. But it's a real sense of community amongst the artists in particular. People are chatting, saying hi, talking about each other's music, what they've been doing. How have you found being part of that, and how important do you think that is to emerging artists?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. It's huge. It can get, you know, I'm a solo artist, and I can play solo, but I also sometimes have a band that I bring with me, and I love playing with them. But it's so important for me to like meet other artists and find out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and have us introduce each other to people, and just feel less alone with it all, I think, and have fun and enjoy each other's company. Like, I think for me, we were talking with some other artists before, actually, like the meaning of success and what does it mean to you to be successful, and I think for me it's definitely about feeling connected to other people through it. The festivals are really, really, really important for that, so we need to keep saving our Scottish festivals.
Who have you been able to see in your time here that's really impressed you?
We went to Elephant Sessions yesterday. Danced our little socks off. It was absolutely amazing. Who else did we see yesterday that I really liked? Rachel Sermani, that's who, thank goodness. We saw her, she was absolutely excellent.
The Elephant Sessions are a great example of this as well, because I remember seeing them in the smaller stages at Hebkill, or I think maybe Killen and a couple other festivals, and now you see them, they're off to Australia doing stuff, they're cutting new tunes. Even here they seemed not so much more mature, but slicker. They had the big video graphic behind them, they're all sort of dressed in similar fashion, confident, really working the crowd, working that crowd endlessly, and it was fabulous to see the reaction they got. It was terrific. That interaction you get from a live event like this, that must be beautiful as an artist.
Huge, yeah, it's huge. Like, I just can't even believe people come. I'm still like, wow, like these people have chosen to spend their time and energy listen to me sing my songs and be interacting and maybe bopping ahead and laughing at my silly jokes in between the songs, and yeah, it's just the most wonderful feeling. It really, really is. And like, I love music, so I know why I do it for bands that I love, but when it's you up there, it does feel like such a genuine honour to be like in that position where people are like there for you. It's really, really cool. And you hope that you're offering something that, it must mean, it's that two-way process. But yeah, Elephant Sessions last night, they are really good at that, and they're just so tight, and like their melodies are class. I could go on like forever.
I love the positivity that comes from you when you talk about why you're doing it, how you're doing it, what you've managed to achieve. Has there been anything you found that's been particularly difficult within the industry that you wish you'd known about, or wish you could just phone somebody and say, how do I?
I mean, every single step of the process. Yeah, I mean, even like at one point setting up my Bandcamp, I was like, oh, please someone do this for me. Or like finding out how PRS works, or PPL, or like who do you email to get a show. I mean, every single step of it, I've been like, this is another thing I have to learn how to do. So that has been really difficult, but I've always had people, there's been a few times I really didn't know who to ask, but I think actually doing the graft of working all of that out does leave you with a sense of confidence that you can now. Like, I do definitely feel it now that I will be able to learn the next thing I need to learn, wherever that is, that comes along.
You've got EPs, you've got albums, you've done the festival.
Yeah.
What's next on the journey?
Got a few more shows in the summer lined up, and then I'm starting to like write a few wee songs with other people at the moment. So hopefully they come good and we'll get to share them. There's some.
What kind of people?
I can't say.
Oh, you can't.
I can't say. No, I can't say. I will, but I'm really hoping they come good. I really hope they come good and that they get put out there, because I think it'll be good. And
if you can't say who they are, could you say how that came about?
Yeah, I think this is the best thing about actually, again, a motivation for releasing your music first, because I do totally believe if you write a song in your room and no one ever hears it, that's still art and it's still a song. It's no less, it's no more valuable if other people hear it. But positive side of going through the process of putting it out into the world is they listen to, I'm like, this is my music. I think we'd work well together. Do you want to write together? And people coming back and being like, yes, so nice. It's just really, really nice. That's how that came about, yeah. Just direct messaging, being like, I love what you do. This is what I do. Do you think maybe a collab would work? Yeah.
And is it quite comforting, that idea that you don't have to do it alone?
Yeah, it is quite comforting. It is quite comforting. And like, I love writing, but I really like co-writing. And as I said, I'm a community musician, so I've done co-writing in like sort of community settings with different people in different situations. And I love that process of like something that's made by people coming maybe from different life experiences or musical backgrounds or whatever, and creating something that I would never have created on my own.
What inspires your writing?
Mostly me being confused about the world and my life and trying to figure out how I'm feeling about something. But I'm very, very, very inspired by, like, I love trees, I love being in the sea, I love nature, I love being out in it. I get a lot more clarity and comfort from that often than I do from people. So that inspires me to write. And yeah, honestly, I think for me it's just this like energy, this impulse that like I have to get it out. It's just like it just has to happen to be well and happy in my life.
If you had to describe, and this is a horrible question to ask anyone, but if you had to describe your genre without pigeonholing yourself to somebody coming across your music for the first time, what would you say?
I think it's alternative folk. It's not indie folk. I think it's alternative folk. I've had a very kind reviewer said that it's like Catherine Joseph, but with the intentions of Bon Iver. So I think what they were trying to say is like it's a bit like Catherine Joseph, but I'm trying to push what folk can be and sound like. So that's how I describe it.
What was the music of your youth, and do you still carry it with you? Does it still inspire you?
My favourite band ever when I was like 14, 15 was an Irish band called The Frames. And I think they do. I've actually only realised now how much that they've inspired me, because me and my best friend went to see them on like 20-something anniversary tour gig thing in Belfast. And hearing them again at this age now, I've written my own songs. Like they play with, they do that same thing. Like I think they call themselves indie folk rock, but they play with genres and they don't pigeonhole themselves into doing one thing, and they play with time signatures and space and like structure, and they don't sort of, and yet they're so catchy and they're so like boppy around too. So I just love that band, and that's probably a cornerstone band for me.
Do you have a favourite Frames tune?
That's too hard. That's so hard. But if people haven't heard of the Frames, they've got a live album called Revelate, which is always the album I send to people first, because their records are good and I like them, but it's not the same as seeing them live. Like they have a certain like larger than life energy, and they just love it, and they put everything they can into it.
Have you been fortunate enough to meet them yet, or is that still on the to-do list?
I think I might just like fall over if I met them. I'm not very good at meeting people I admire. But your man, it's Glenn Hansard, so people might know that name. Glenn Hansard, he did Once, and he's amazing. He does solo work as well. But hopefully one day I'll get to meet him, that'd be cool.
I think they're doing a reboot of it as well, aren't they? Some new material come from that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think that's maybe due out in the next year or so that'll be exciting.
Cool, yeah.
We asked some questions on this podcast, which is just for a bit of fun as much as anything else, but one of them is, would you attend an exclusive album launch or a festival?
Would I attend an exclusive? Oh, that's really hard. I'll go festival just because you have more options.
Favourite food or rider?
Food or rider? Anything that's chocolate based. Chocolates and nuts together, anything that's got that.
If you could collaborate with anyone alive or dead on a project, what or who would it be?
I would love to write with Glenn Hansard from the Frames. Yeah, that would be incredible. Yeah.
So shout out to Glenn then.
Please! One day.
Restaurant, cinema, or lazy Sunday brunch?
Cinema.
Last film you saw?
We went to see the Wes Anderson one. What was that called? What's that called? Space something? Space? Yeah.
Are you a digital addict or can you switch off?
I can switch off, but things have to be in a tent and I have to be out in the world. If I've got my phone, I'm on it.
What does life look like after you stop all this?
I won't stop all this.
One artist everyone should be listening to right now.
Can't say the names again. Oh, there's too many. There's too many. One of my favourite artists, she's called Ember Quine, but she doesn't have a lot of music out there. Sevka is another amazing artist I would recommend. Like local Glaswegian, Polish artist. Both of them are amazing.
Do you have a favourite venue as well?
Favourite venue? No. The venues I like the most are kind of like those little weird, small, intimate things where you're just in a random living room or something like that. Yeah. No, I don't think I do.
Do you remember your first gig?
My very first gig is in a band, I think was maybe the Tiki Bar in Glasgow. With my good friend AJ Meadows. He came over from Mississippi and needed a keys player. I'm very grateful to him actually because he's another person that hadn't played music in 4 or 5 years and he got me right back into it. He was one of the first people to be like, oh, this is just a thing you can do that's small and local and manageable and fun.
What does it feel like when you step on the stage after something like that?
The first one, you mean? Yeah. After not playing for a while, it felt terrifying. I was absolutely terrified, but really good. Like, yeah, I think that ignited that thing in me again of like, oh, I actually need this. I have to do this. This is what's been missing.
Were you buzzing afterwards?
I was totally buzzing. Yeah. I was absolutely buzzing. And my favorite, a friend came to see it, and the first thing they said, they're like, wow, you've got a really nice singing voice, especially compared to the way you talk.
That's a backhanded compliment if ever I've heard on you.
It was funny, yeah.
From where you started until now, what's been the good stuff in between?
The people I've met, the wonderful places I've got to travel to, the opportunities to be in places like this. I've made so many friends. I've chatted to people I really admire. I've jumped up and down like a mad thing in the fields and just had a really good time. Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing.
Okay, and with what you've learned so far, what's been the best piece of advice or helping hand you've been given you would share with other people?
The best advice, I will go back to the Blind Boy podcast. I highly recommend that for any creative. I started at the start and I worked my way through all of them. And he's an Irish songwriter, novelist. He makes his podcast now. He's done loads. And the two things I really took away from was that playing with Lego thing of like, when you're creating, the critical part of you can't be there. You have to let yourself be as carefree. And it's hard to get there, but let yourself play. Don't judge yourself. That comes later, that editing process. And that's just helped me write the songs I love now. So I've been so grateful for that. And the second thing that he talks about, which sticks with me all the time, is like feeding your subconscious. So if you're like not making tunes or writing or whatever your creative practice is, it's okay to go out into the world and like feed your brain with life, or watch your favourite soaps on the telly, or do whatever you need to do, because that stuff will percolate in there and it will come back out again in your art. So it's given me a lot of balance in how I approach things.
And where can people discover more of your music?
I'm everywhere, so they can go to my website, which is mimamerrow.com, mimamerrow.com. I'm on Instagram, I've got a Bandcamp, and there's no other Mima Merrows, so if you just Google me, I'll pop up. And it's me standing in a lake, I think, or in a field. You can find out more about me there.
The unique Mima Merrow, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, this has been lovely.
The good stuff's in between the lines. my thoughts and my feelings still tell 1,000 lies.
This has been the Good Stuff In Between podcast. Huge thanks indeed to Mima for agreeing to come on the show literally seconds after her performance at Belladrum. The show is written, edited and produced by myself, Shaun Milne at Skoog Media. Our title track, Nothing's Going to Bring Me Down, appears courtesy of Willie Campbell. You can discover more of his great music at williecampbell.co.uk. You can follow us on Instagram and on LinkedIn at Good Stuff In Between. And if you or someone you know is interested in taking part, please do drop us a DM. Next episode's being edited now, so please watch out for that dropping in the coming weeks. Till then, thanks for listening.
I disconnected from the power, forgot to switch myself back on. The good stuff's in between the lines, my thoughts and my feelings still tell 1,000 lies. But now you're taking away my sorrow, you're taking away my fear. We're not promised tomorrow, so let me hold you close, my dear.